In this lecture, we will look at positioning elements. We have four main positioning elements, namely static positioning, fixed, absolute, and relative positioning. Static positioning. An element that has a static position is unperturbed by the browser. It follows the normal flow of the page. This is the default value, but when an element is deliberately set to static, it ensures that element follows the normal document flow of the page. This is the default value, so it does not need to be specified. It is not affected by the four offset properties, which are top, right, bottom, and left. On to the next one, we have fixed positioning. When an element has a fixed position, it means that element doesn't follow the normal document flow of the page and stays in one place. It will not move even if the window is scrolled. It overlaps other elements. The offset values top, left, right, and bottom affects it. Now let us see how this looks in the browser. Okay, so we are going to create two boxes to demonstrate this. So let me use a div tag and give it a class with the name of 1. We'll copy and paste this for the second box that we'll be creating and rename this to 2. Okay, save this and open up the CSS, and then by targeting our first box with the class name of 1, a width of 100 pixels, and then an height of 100 pixels to have an equal box with the background color of, let's say, red. So copy and paste this for our second box. Rename this to 2. And then change this color to something like, let's say, blue. Yeah. Now save this and open it up in the browser. Oops, only one box appeared. Now let's see where I made a mistake. My CSS is perfect. 1. I got it. It's right here. Instead of the equal to, I made the dash. So we all make mistakes. So each time you see your code is not working, try and look through your code for any mistake. So saving this and refreshing it. Okay, we have our two boxes. Now by giving the second box a position of fixed, so fixed, saving this and refreshing it, you can see nothing is happening. So let me just give an example by adding like 3 more boxes. So let's copy the 1. Okay, we now have like 5 of these. So refresh. Let me add 4 more. Okay, 2 is good. And in order to make our boxes separated, let's add a margin of 5 pixels to add a little space between our boxes. So refreshing it, yeah, and we have, okay, so let me just make this a little bit bigger. So the box 1 is 200 pixels each now. Okay, now since we gave it a fixed value, when it's scrolling down, the blue box is still fixed and scrolls with the rest of the page. It will not move even if the window is scrolled, and it overlaps the other document. Overlapping means it's on top of it, so it overlaps and doesn't move. So if I give it a value of the offset value top of 0 and refresh it, this takes it at the top of the page and stays there no matter what. So this technique is often used in navigation bars to make it stay at the top of the page without moving. So that's the fixed positioning. Let's move on to the next one. Next, we have the absolute positioning. When an element's position is set to absolute, all other elements on the page will ignore the element and act like it is not present on the page. In other words, it takes the document or element out of the normal flow of the page and position it according to the values it is given. The element will be positioned relative to its closest positioned parent element. This also overlaps other elements. So let us also see how this works in the browser. So back in the editor, clean this up and give it a position value of absolute, and save this and refresh. And you can see as I'm scrolling down, it doesn't scroll with the page, unlike the fixed positioning. And looking at it, it got taken out of the normal document flow of the page, so its space is taken up by the other elements. Now when I give it a top of 0 and also a left of 0 and refresh this, you can see this position the said element at the top left corner of the browser's viewports. Let us look at the next one, which is relative positioning. Relative positioning. This puts element relative to its default static position of the normal flow of the page. Let us see also how this works. So in the text editor, clean this and write relative. So saving this and refreshing it, you can see it still stays in the document. You can see it still stays in the normal flow of the document. So let me just give it a top of 50 pixels and refresh. Let me make it a little bit higher. Let's say 500 and save this. And even though it moved 500 pixels down, its space is still reserved. So for instance, if I increase the box size to be 200 and save this, each 200 space is still preserved and follows the normal document flow of the page. Okay, now that we have that explained, let's move to the next tutorial. In this video, we will be looking at Z index. When elements are positioned outside the normal document flow of the page, they overlap other elements. The Z index property specifies the stack order of an element in order for it to be placed in front of or behind others. It uses number values and the higher the number, the greater the authority it has. Now, what do I mean by this? Let us see an example in the browser. Using the example from our previous tutorial with the boxes, you can tell this blue box is overlapping the rest of the red box. So in order for this red box to rather override the blue one, let's use the D-index property. So Z-index, and give this a number of 5, and then the second, let's give it a lower number. So let's use negative for now. So negative 4 or 1, as long as the other one is higher. So save this and refresh, and then our blue box rather went at the back of the red boxes. So the red box is now overlapping the blue box. So that's what the Z-index is basically all about. Very simple and easy to understand. Now, one more thing. The Z-index property works only on position elements. That is the absolute, relative, and fixed positionings. So let me give an example of this. So let's say I give this a Z-index of 10 and give it a 9. The 10 is higher than the 9, so the box 1 should override the other one. But the blue box still is the one overlapping the red box. This is because this has no position value of either relative, absolute, or fixed. So let us go ahead and add it. So let me just use relative and save this, refresh, and we have our solution working right here. Very easy. Okay, let's move on to the next tutorial.